Hello everyone, welcome to this conversation. Today we have with us Usha Rajagopalan, lake conservationist from Bangalore. Usha is founding trustee and chairperson of the Puttenahalli Neighbourhood Lake Improvement Trust or PNLIT. In 2008, she launched a campaign to save the deteriorated Puttenahalli Lake in JP Nagar. She and her fellow campaigners not only got the BBMP to revive the lake, they also registered as a trust and also signed an agreement, an MOU with the BBMP to take care of the lake's routine maintenance. So their work has kept the lake pristine, and it has also inspired several other citizen-led lake groups in Bangalore afterwards. So welcome, Usha. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Navya.
So first, I wanted to ask you about, how you see PNLIT's work. What have been the major achievements, the milestones that you see in the past 15 years, and also what are the challenges that still remain?
See, the biggest achievement is how the lake looks today after 15 years. Because typically, once if you have the money, you can rejuvenate a lake. But keeping it going, thriving as an ecosystem is a completely different ball game altogether. And I think that is where we have succeeded. 15 years of sustained work on the ground for everybody to see, more importantly, for the birds and insects and wildlife that habitat the place. So I think that is the biggest achievement.
So, what are the major milestones? There have been challenges as well. There have been a
Mm.
lot of successes also. So, could you, tell us a bit about that?
Okay, I'll start with the good news then. The good news is all the very many steps that we took from the outset to, let's say, to fill the lake with water, for instance. So we got a total station survey done and found that an adjoining avenue, it's a good, clean avenue, broad, and water could be diverted to the lake. So BBMP executed that, and in fact we call it the diversion channel because it served two purposes. One is it prevented flooding in the lower lying areas further below, and secondly it increased the water level because after BBMP rejuvenated the lake in 2010, the first couple of monsoons didn't really fill the lake. We were full of dreams, stars in our eyes, that once it starts raining, the lake is going to be full and full of life. That never happened. Of course, the ground was very parched, and so the all the water that fell was just going underground. And even with this diversion, it was actually installed in 2013. And even that was not quite enough to fill the lake from end to end because the problem with an urban lake is if it doesn't look like a lake, like a water body with water, then it's not going to last for long. And if it doesn't fill up even during the monsoon, then what chance does it have when summer comes? Or what if a monsoon fails in 1 year? So these are challenges that we had to address. So in 2015, what happened? I live in an apartment complex close to the lake, and there is a very good STP which is maintained extremely well by the Owners Association. So we approached them to ask for discharging the excess treated water into the lake. So this had to we had to do a bit of convincing. The apartment complex was fine with it, but we had to approach BBMP, and they were slightly skeptical, saying, "What if the association lets raw sewage into the lake?" So we had to convince them, and then all three of us went and met the KSPCB, and they agreed after we said that we will sign a tripartite agreement. So, for the first time in Bangalore, an apartment treated water from an apartment complex started feeding a lake from 2015 May. Now, this year, it has been done in many other lakes by BWSSB. So, this is definitely, one of our highlights. And another thing is, there were two thoughts on this. One is that you don't know what the impact will be in the long run of having a lake full of treated water. And we felt that if you do not have water in the lake, then it's not going to last long. So let's fill the lake first and then we'll see how to purify it. So that was what we did. We came across this artificial floating islands. It basically works on the principle of hydroponics. So we introduced this in June 2016. We did a prototype because all this was do it yourself kind of a thing. And we did three prototypes, tied it very close to the edge so that we could pull it out if it started sinking, but it didn't. And these are basically PVC pipes made into a frame with a mesh on top and below. Into that, we inserted different kinds of biofilter plants. And it worked very well. So we repeated that in our wetland, which was a horrible, horrible mess. Because constructed wetland is where the maximum rainwater should enter, will enter. And the plants are typically planted in the ground so that the water will meander through these plants, undergo a process of biofiltration, and then enter the main body of the lake. Now, in a lake like Jakur, for instance, their wetland is huge. The lake is huger, and you can imagine the size of the wetland. So there it is fine, but in a landlocked lake like ours, it is called Puttakare because it is a small lake. The water entire area is about 13 acres, 25 guntas. The water body alone is 10 acres, in which the wetland is less than half an acre. So in that, if we are to, if the plants are in the ground, then there's a limit to which these plants can absorb the nutrients. So it had to be replaced, taken out, cleaned, and etc., which was impossible because when it rains, all sorts of muck used to enter the wetland. So a couple of things that we did was one, to stop all this floating trash from entering the lake, we installed a huge, very tall, 6 feet high mesh, chain link mesh as a trash barrier. So when all the plastic cover and random chappal etc. enter with the rainwater, they all get stuck on this trash barrier, which is then removed manually. And then BBMP got the entire place cleaned for us, and we installed these artificial floating islands in chains. And we didn't need to actually test the quality of the water because just looking into the water, you can see the ground, you can see the fish, you can see the birds coming. But it is not enough when I say all this. Anybody will ask, where is the proof? So we actually at that point tied up with the BMS College of Engineering to get the water tested in their lab. And then we realized that we were not sure about when are they testing it because we needed to have solid proof. It had to be an accredited lab that is testing it. So we signed up with an accredited lab to do a quarterly testing of the water. And yes, we had the water was improving, and then disaster struck after a year. In this was in 2017 that we had the artificial floating islands and things like that. Our heyday for AFI, but what was happening was the underground drainage system in our area is really developing very fast, and the existing UGD could not handle the additional load. So what would happen was the manual cover would in always come dislodged, and sewage would flow out onto the road and into the rainwater drain and into the lake. And we immediately would contact the ward office, and they would bring a jetting machine. They would, jet out the block, maybe just push it further down. But and then the problem would recur. So we started escalating it to the head office, to NGT, to case PCB, and then to NGT. And that was when things started moving. Because what had happened was with this in the process of escalating, the residents in that layout got so fed up of the delay that they opened out the underground drain and let it directly into the lake. Within a matter of a day, I would think, about 8, 9 years of our work got flushed into sewage.
Yeah.
totally wiped out, It led to a massive fish kill. If 2017 was a heyday for the cleanest lake, 2018 was the worst with a fish kill, and it was a traumatic experience. And that's when we went to NGT, and BWSSB chairman happened to be there, and he agreed to replace the pipeline with a bigger dimension. Now, what happened was, outside on the road, it was fine because it's on below the road. They could do it. But the drain actually usually enters the lake premises right below the pathway, walking track. When it was laid in 2010 11, the houses, we have an encroachment. I'm talking about the encroachment now. The encroachers were a few in number, and their houses were far away from the pathway. But over the years, their number had grown and their houses were right next to the pathway and obstructing the way the replacement work. So BWSSB wanted the encroachment to be removed. And this is a struggle which had been going on from 2008. Where is it going to get resolved overnight? So BBMP, Lakes Division, they also chipped in with us, and we approached BWSSB. That section of that pipeline, which was obstructed by the houses, BWSSB laid it on the revetment by the water side. So that way it got bypassed. Of course, there were lots of other things that happened, but finally it got resolved.
Right.
The sewage issue got resolved, and the sediment, etc., it got washed away. Fortunately for us, it was raining. It rained so heavily after that, 2021-22. It flushed out all the muck. And yes, our lake is clean once again. I wouldn't say the water is absolutely pure, that's definitely not potable or anything like that. But the point is, because the reason for this is because there is always sewage coming in from some place or the other. So we have to be extraordinarily vigilant and call BWSSB and go after them and ensure that it gets stopped immediately. And they do that because they are on a fast dial now.
Right. So that's the second thing I wanted to ask you. This like working with officials over the years, over the past 15 years, 15 or 17 years, it has taken a lot of negotiations, right? For you, working with officials, trying to convince them about a particular problem and a solution and so on. So, how do you go about that? How do you negotiate with the officials? What are the lessons from that?
See, we were extremely fortunate that when our first official that we interacted with was the then chief engineer of Lakes Division. His name is BV Satish. He was extremely proactive, very open, and he very patient. And he even put up with our stupid suggestions. He didn't laugh at us because we were novices. We are not conservationists at all at that point. And he let us. He gave us a free hand, I think, because he knew that whatever we did, we would never kill the lake. We will never kill the organisms that depended on the lake. So he had that confidence and that trust. And that is how he invited us to sign an MOU with BBMP in 2011 May, and twice later it was renewed. He retired in April 2019, and as our retirement gift to him, we got him to inaugurate an aerator fountain. In a way, I would blame Mr. Satish for setting such an highly impossible level of cooperation from the bureaucracy. It is very difficult for too many people to match, and so we have had it easy going with a few people, not as easy as with Mr. Satish and his team then, but definitely not too bad. And if some people are particularly difficult, then we only hope that they will get transferred soon and the next person will be easier to handle. But we have managed to get a few things done. Actually, when we started feeding the lake with treated water, Fisheries department tested the sample and found out that it can support fish life. So they auctioned the lake for commercial fishing in November 2015. And we were aghast because our intent was to nurture the lake as a biodiversity hub, a bird hotspot, because genuinely the lake is too small to encourage commercial fishing. Because the fisherman is going to introduce species which are, big, rich in meat, which will sell well. And those are not the fishes which the birds will want. And most of the birds are shallow water birds. Okay, they want small fish. So we went after fisheries department, and in 2022 they exempted our lake from commercial fishing so that we could nurture it as an avian habitat. At the end of the day, sheer perseverance will finally make either you give up or they give up. We are not permanent. We would like to hand over the charge to the next younger lot of trustees because we want the lake to remain a community responsibility. We want the local community to work in tandem with the BBMP in a partnership of mutual trust and cooperation to ensure that the lake survives now and in the future.
So another thing I wanted to ask was about, there are people who are not interested in the lake's well-being also, right? For example, you've had cases of theft, vandalism, and the sewage issue and so on. So how do you negotiate with, the category of people who may be responsible for these kind of issues?
See, one of the things, unfortunately for us, the slum dwellers would be in the know of things because the lake is open and they are there. So they are not going to sneak on who is actually trespassing. Maybe they are doing it themselves, but without proof, we can't tell anything. So we actually try to get their cooperation to prevent such vandalism in right from the early days. Like we got their children to plant trees in July 2010, but they never wanted to have anything to do with us, so we cannot count on their support. So one of the other things that we have been doing is to keep the locality around the lake involved, keep the lake walkers involved, tell them what is happening and seek their help to spot trouble, to stop trouble themselves rather than ignore it, walk past and then let it escalate.
Right.
It's only when anybody who uses a lake becomes the eyes and ears of the lake, then such things can be stopped. And also another thing that we have done is, BBMP has moved to this Kere Mitra scheme, and I am a Kere Mitra for Puttenhalli, and I've been posting all these vandalism, etc., on in the Kere Mitra group. They send somebody, but it also goes back. And then we informed the press as well, so we got that coverage. I don't know which has worked, but such vandalism, touchwood, has stopped right now.
So another thing I wanted to check was about the MOUs. So the MOU with BBMP, it has not been renewed since 2010.
No, 2020.
Sorry, 2020. Yeah. What has changed? I mean, because with the MOU, you have mentioned that, you have some kind of authority to, take up issues. So when the MOU is not there, what really changes for you? I mean, what is it that you are not able to do because of the absence of an MOU?
We continue to get support from BBMP. Okay. And we, having spent by then, we had already put in 10 years of our real time and effort. We didn't want to stop working. We didn't want the lake to relapse, definitely. And we don't have it in us to start over all. So we filed an interlocutory application in that particular writ petition, and we are still waiting. Unfortunately, court cases, you know how long it takes. I'm hoping that some pretty soon there will be some decision in the matter, some clarity. As far as we are concerned, since we have always been dependent on donations, voluntary donations from the neighborhood to meet maintenance expenses, we have not been hit very hard. But bigger lakes like Kaikondrahalli or Jakur, they are having a major problem because they need CSR funds to maintain the lake. So, somewhat, I would say, definitely we are having problems. I think the bigger problem comes around because when the team changes, they don't understand or they have not put in the groundwork to understand why are these people taking such an interest in the lake which does not belong to them, and they are not getting any monetary benefit out of it. What can they possibly gain from this? I think they have to understand. And by BBMP signing the MOU in the first place, it was genuinely a bold step because till then it was a top down governance. And with the signing of the MOU, it became a partnership of citizen group with the BBMP. I hope the new team, the later teams, will understand the importance of community involvement in lake maintenance.
Right. So now the BBMP is also planning to reintroduce the MOUs, right? And they've been having discussions with lake groups also regarding the clauses. So according to you, when the MOUs are reintroduced, what can be some of the aspects that it should include so that there is citizen participation at the same time these concerns about vested interests or mismanagement of lake is also addressed.
See, actually, one thing that we had done is we are five groups who had signed MOUs with BBMP. And our experiences to a large extent are common. And we have drafted a template MOU uh, using yeah, our experiences to make it easier for us and for other groups. Okay, so this envisages 50-50 partnership, 50% with the BBMP and 50% to the citizen group. Now, one of the problems that BBMP, rather one of the accusations that can be made against both of us actually, BBMP and for the citizen group is, you will be getting CSR funds and you're going to be eating it yourself, taking a cut from it for yourself. Now, that can be avoided if the citizen group enters into a partnership with the corporate agency and BBMP gives permission to execute a particular project and also monitors. See, at the end of the project, we have to submit our accounts to the CSR partner. And all our statements, our accounts, annual accounts, are all audited and uploaded in our website, certainly. So there is no, what shall I say, scope for such golmaal in this.
So you're saying that there can be a tripartite agreement.
No, no, not a tripartite agreement. Bipartite agreement with BBMP and Citizen Group. Citizen Group with CSR partner. Actually, Navya, that's what we have all done in the past.
Yeah, yeah. So that will be similar to what has been
It
done.
has worked very well.
Right.
We have worked with, we installed the fountain with Axis Bank funds. We installed a pergola with VMware. And we got a Deloitte funds from Deloitte to clean the lake. So many things we have done. Dulip Matai Foundation to create a hotspot on the island. And they are very particular. They are not going to give you money just because you ask. First of all, you have to, meet their criteria, and their accounting processes are rigid. So there is no scope for anybody taking a cut for themselves.
But in terms of the lake management, how the lake is managed and so on, do you think there has to be specific clauses for that? Because BBMP has also expressed some kind of, they've said that certain aspects they are reviewing and so on. So do you think that there are aspects that need to be reviewed at all, or the previous uh, this thing was scenario was fine?
See, what I think, first of all, BBMP must open its mind to the fact that citizen partnership is good, can be good. It can be good if it is really based on a mutual trust. See, again, I can understand their concern because then a group coming to took after a particular lake may have vested interest, may have, let's say, a political interest in this, maybe some connection with real estate. But those are chances which have to be taken and which can actually be addressed if you monitor the citizen group, see what they are doing. Maybe after a year, new group, you give them a trial of 1 year and then renew it after extend it for 3 years or what. So if you do that kind of a thing, then you also have control, no? See, the work is all there for anybody can walk to the lake, they can check what is happening. Okay. So what's a great difficulty in knowing whether the citizen group has done work properly or not? It is all there.
So coming back to the trust's work, I also would like to know about how the costs, how you have been able to manage the costs. Especially, you mentioned that the funding has not been hit so much, even though the MOUs are not there because there's local funding. But still, it would have taken a lot of effort for you to, to collect funds and do that kind of work over a sustained period. So, how do you manage that?
Actually, one of the reasons, in spite of all the obstacles that we have faced in these 15 years, one of the reasons that why we are still going very, very strong is because of our local community support. Okay, right from early days, for the very first tree plantation drive in July 2010, we did it together with BBMP, by the way. Our trust had just been registered the previous month, and in July 2010, we did a tree plantation drive to which we invited residents in the area to come and plant trees. And we told them, we will take care of the saplings, please donate any amount. And they gave us the money. We raised some 50,000 rupees that day. And with that money, we hired a gardener. And we asked for volunteer support. Residents came over to take care of the saplings, do the weeding, watering, whatnot. And again, I've been saying the lake is there for everybody's. That is the biggest testimony of our work. And it is true for all these people who come because they can see where their money is going. So, if the lake has been systematically developing over the years, it is because of their support and they want to support it more. And really, you will not believe me, the raising funds has actually become much, much, much easier these days. Past 2 years, because we have not been doing very active work on at the lake, we have not executed any project without the MOU. Yeah, that's where we are very badly hit. We are not able to execute any project because we don't have an MOU. Okay, so we have been telling our residents, please hold back your donation. We have enough money for another year. We'll come to you when we need the money.
Okay, so something like a biofiltration project cannot be done now because you don't
We don't
without the
have
MOU.
we
Right.
don't have the permission. We don't have the MOU to do.
Okay.
So, see, there are lots of good people. And when you do good work, they will recognize it and they will come forward to help. I'm talking about the community.
So also there are different imaginations about how a lake should be used, who should use it, who should access it, and so on, right? So have there been any concerns about how to navigate that? There may be different users who want different things. So how do you balance those things? Has those kind of issues cropped up ever?
No, these have not cropped up. The only guy who was very upset when the lake was rejuvenated, we got to know later through our gardener at that point, he used to brew illicit liquor at the lake. So he got very upset that his livelihood was stopped. But the earlier days, we have these cattle grazers who would come and cut grass cutters. They would come and cut the grass, and in return, we would ask them for some cow dung. And nowadays, I don't know, they are not to be seen. Maybe they have moved out. But otherwise, we have not had any problem of anybody saying we have been inconvenienced because of your intervention. Because the lake is open to everybody. We are not charging anyone anything. Please, as long as you don't, meddle with the place, you don't trespass, you don't litter, you don't pollute, please, you're most welcome.
So, can you also talk about your personal journey of working on the lake and over such a long period? Because it may not always be visible, but there's always a lot of time and effort that you personally must be putting into this. So, can you tell us about your personal journey working with the lake and for the trust?
See, I feel responsible for this because I mooted this campaign way back in 2008. And but just me wishing that the lake would be rejuvenated, etc., is not going to work. So it did work in that sense. I did get people to help um, get BBMP to rejuvenate the lake, and it has always been teamwork. And I'm extremely fortunate that I have. We started off PNLIT with four co-founders: Arti Mane, Prasna Vainatya, and OP Ramaswamy. And Prasanna has stepped down. OPR and Aarti are still very much with us. And we have actually grown from strength to strength. From four, we are now seven trustees. And it is because of the support that they have given me that we have been able to do so much. It's really not a leader without anybody following is not a leader. So this is 100% volunteer teamwork. And also I must mention that we are very fortunate to have some really hardcore, ardent volunteers. We are trying to make them trustees and they are sort of shying away, because they must be thinking, if as volunteer I'm doing so much of work, how much will I have to do as a trustee? But I hope we'll get them around to it. So, but still, at the end of the day, for to a large extent, right, my friends have given me a free hand because I was the one who was always on the ground. When we started, Prasanna had just started his startup, and OPR was he was doing his MBA and all that post retirement, and Aarti had she after a year or so she shifted to Chandigarh and then to Mumbai for a good 10 years or something. She was not around. So I was the boss. So I could implement a lot of things which led to a lot of improvements that I told you, this aeration and artificial floating island. Of course, ideas may be mine, but execution depended on my team. But it still meant that I have to take the onus to lead from the front, and I had to show it can be done. So it ate heavily into my time, and I am basic. In fact, our appointment today got delayed because I was doing some last minute work. And right now, for the past 2-3 years, the daily maintenance of the work, my friends are handling it, and I am doing the the back room kind of a work to address the biggest challenge, the ongoing challenge, which is the encroachment. So, in spite of that, it has cost me a great deal in terms of time and inability to follow my other interests, because when I took up the lake in 2008, I had published two books. One was in the press, and between 2010 and 20, I published another five. But they were old manuscripts which I just polished and I got them published. So my last book came out in 2020, and my next book is nowhere in the cards. But yeah, it's in the final stage. It's taken me 5 years to work on a new project, and it's not completed yet. So, but will I do it again if given the chance? Yes, I will do it again because the lake deserves attention, and the lake is such a pleasure. Uh, it would If it hadn't been for the lake, you and I will not be talking about it today. You're not going to talk to me about my writing, are you?
Yeah, I was saying that glad to know that your next book will be up soon. Will be out soon.
I don't know about the soon part. I hope I'll finalize it by the end of the year. And incidentally, it is a documentation on the Puttenhalli Lake experience.
Okay, right.
Because we need to, our journey has been really incredible. It is with so many twists. It's a real roller coaster ride, you know. And so, what keeps us together? What kept us going? And what are the challenges? How did we address it? And what are the solutions? Because again, directly or indirectly, we are considered as a model in community participation in lake conservation. And we have shared our PNLIT trust deed as a template to many groups in Bangalore who have registered themselves using our trust deed. So to share our the truth behind lake conservation, because really I think Navya, that even BBMP or the lakes division, or no authority will really understand what it takes to genuinely re- sustain a lake for so long. They have the money, they can rejuvenate a lake. What next? You don't want to keep plowing money into rejuvenating a lake over and over and over. The crux should be post rejuvenation maintenance, and that is possible only with local community support.
Right. So the book basically will be a compendium of your experiences with Puttenahalli Lake, is it?
Yes, with our collective experience as a
Right.
team, but
So,
told from my perspective because I am the narrator.
so finally, I wanted to know about, what do you have to say to Bangaloreans about protecting lakes? Why should they care about it, about their local lake? And if they also, if even if they can't do it as a full-time thing, even if they can't devote a lot of time and energy to it, what is it that they can do?
I will not dare to say, Bengalurians, please save your lakes. Anybody who lives in the city has to save the lake, okay? And I think the city is extraordinarily blessed because we have lost hundreds of lakes, but we still have nearly 200. And they are worth rejuvenating, worth sustaining, okay, worth protecting. Because without these lakes and without all this lovely green cover, Bangalore, was called, was supposed to have been called Kalyana Nagara, okay, city of gardens. And you keep losing all this, then the city is not going to be livable for anybody. And genuinely, it has also become a city of opportunities to make money, to get jobs, etc. But all these jobs and high rises and high value cars will be worth nothing if the air is not good enough to breathe, and your water, it's flooding and you have water shortage. These are basic necessities of life. So you may be extremely tight with your professional commitments, but you cannot afford to live in your own little world. The city is bigger, and you have to spend some time just for the sake of your own children. And it all starts with the neighborhood. That's enough. You take care of your neighborhood lake. Don't be so ambitious as to say, I'm going to save all the lakes in Bangalore. No. Your neighborhood lake is good enough beginning, and you can't do it alone. Involve the community.
Okay. And what are some of the ways in which they can get involved with the community? That's in terms of protecting lakes.
See, what I would suggest is please visit the lake as much as you can, as often as you can. Then automatically your heart will melt, and you will get enough ideas on how to go about saving it. And you will become so committed to it, you will pester all officers, everybody concerned, to ensure that the lake is rejuvenated and it is safe. Really, that's true for us. We got into it not because, as I told you, because we are environmentalists or something. The more you get involved in a problem, the easier it will become to solve.
Thank you so much, Usha. Thanks for your time.